Mirror Business FM. It's the morning drive, and David Mackenzie is here. He's the MD of Mackenzie Jones. He is kind of he's the pit bull. He's the Belgian Malinois of Mackenzie Jones.
Sounds aggressive.
No, it sounds authoritative, I think. I think pit bulls, they're lovely until they turn.
I've never heard anybody. I've got a Malinois. I've never heard him called.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've got. He's a cut and shut. He's a Dubai dog.
Okay.
So he's
a cut and shut.
Yeah. Part of him is a Malinois. He looks like a Malinois, but he's got a curly tail and floppy ears. So everyone goes, he's a Malinois cross, isn't he? So that's a nice way of putting it.
That's good.
He's what my kids call a generic dog.
Okay.
Dubai generic dog.
I had a friend who had a dog that had 3 legs a few years ago, and I always sort of thought, could you not get a whole one? I don't know, which was terrible. Did you never like me saying it? But they took in this poor creature. It was a running joke for years. Awful. I know, I should be sanctioned.
But I won't tell these jokes on air, but the one about the names of office people, like the guy that had one leg shorter, he was called these. No, I'm not going to say this.
No, you probably better not. Yeah, no, we can't do that. There are clean versions of those.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
How to talk money, how to get what you deserve, salary expectations. So I thought we could split this into 2 parts. So the first part of this is how to do that, how to put yourself across in the right way, how to understand your worth. And then we'll run through some real examples in part 2, kind of the employment life cycle and the questions that you need to ask. My first question to you, David Mackenzie, the Belgian Malinois, the German Shepherd of Mackenzie Jones, the Pekingese.
No.
There are loads.
No.
I know. Why is it that talking about money is so difficult?
Yeah, it's a very emotive point. People generally, we talked to him for hours. You just mentioned I'm terrible at doing that.
Yeah.
But I think people genuinely are. That there's 2 reasons mainly. Money has always been seen since your parents' days as something you just don't discuss. You don't talk about. You don't go up to. You don't know how much I earn, do you?
No, but I have a policy about this.
Well,
I joined a place a few years ago, and I was chatting to somebody who did a very similar role, and she said to me, "How much? What did you sign for? How much do you earn?" I went, "I'm not going to tell you." Don't be silly. No, of course you'll tell me. What did they offer? I'm not going to tell you. And there was a 5-minute backwards and forwards of, no, you're being silly, I don't believe you, you're just playing around, you're messing me about, blah, blah, blah. I will not ever tell you. And there's a reason for that. I don't care what you earn. What I earn is what I earn.
Yep.
And money always, for me, in my experience, always creates division or unnecessary competition. I'm there to do the job. I accepted it, be that on my own head, if I highballed or lowballed. It doesn't matter.
No,
it's of no consequence.
I think your strategy is absolutely spot on.
To be honest.
But the reality is, we're friends and you don't know how much I earn. And there's a social stigma to that. You don't want to ask somebody what they earn because it seems to be rude. Now, if you take that
culturally to you and I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the very basis of why people don't like talking about money. So when you then go into an interview situation, you're in a workplace. By the way, I think what you did is exactly right. I don't tell my guys how much I earn in my company. They'd be a little disappointed, I think.
You don't lowball yourself publicly.
Well, I think I need a salary rise, but I can't. I haven't got the courage to ask myself.
You either have a policy that everything is completely open and it is always open, or it's something that I just see it as a division.
There is, and let's face it. What comes out of knowing your peer's salary? There'll only be an issue if you're earning more than them. Then they're going to complain.
Yeah.
So I think there are 2 things. One is that social stigma. People don't want to talk about money. The second one is people feel very uncomfortable asking for things, bizarrely enough, in a workplace. Because an employer, you work for an employer and they have to pay you for your services. It's a common transaction, centuries old.
Yeah.
But when you go in there and somebody says to you, okay, it's your review, what are you looking to earn? I reckon about 80% of people will go, what?
Well, that's what we're hoping to get over today. But you're right, and I'm still at this first hurdle of why I kind of clam up when somebody says, ask me that question, and why I find it so difficult to talk about. And consequently, I just don't really talk about money. I'm not everything is about money, of course it is, but I'm not massively it's not the most important thing to me. I think that sounds so trite, doesn't it?
No.
It sounds so wrong, but it's not.
But the irony, nors it to me, and I run my own business.
I can tell.
Stop it. but your point is a really good one. I think people feel very uncomfortable talking about money, and there's also the imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. So when you go into an interview and your boss said to you, it's your review time, and how do you think things have gone? You never ever bring up money. Nobody ever brings up money. They leave it to the very end and go, "Oh, excuse me, can we talk about money?" Yeah. And it's almost like an afterthought. My view is that they're a thing called the 3 C's, I think. I wrote these down, actually, because I knew I wouldn't remember them all. But they're the art of negotiation, okay? And he's slipping his glasses on. So it's clarity,
okay,
which is know your goals.
Right.
Confidence, being able to be very clear about what you want to say and what you want to get from that conversation.
Can I guess the last one?
No.
No, okay.
Let me do this, because I've prepared for this. Raj, will you tell him? I spend time doing this. I have a day job as well. Communication, which is articulate your needs clearly. Collaboration, which is work together to get the right objective. What's the last one?
I don't know.
Okay. Compromise. Being able to...
ready to...
This is the key, is being able to... You say, right, Tim, what are you expecting? This is your review. What are you expecting salary? And you go... 13. Well, you're actually on 20. Okay, we haven't got that in our budget. And your immediate reaction will probably sit there and not say anything, or go,
no, mine is, all right, I'm off, bye.
It's probably not the right way of doing it.
What are you going to do now?
But the point is, you've got to, during that process of that communication, you've got to be in a situation at the end of it, you can mutually agree something.
Yeah.
And that compromise thing is something candidates are really bad about in this market. And this is why people use recruiters to do their negotiation on their behalf. It's one of the power things we have, because we're a third party. We're not emotionally tied to this. Mm-hmm. We can negotiate on behalf of a candidate. And I can tell you, we, most of the time, I don't know the percentage, will get a higher amount than you can possibly do.
I would imagine, yeah. Well, you're divorced from the process, aren't you? There's no skin in game.
Does benefit us, though. Because the higher the money we get, the more the client has to pay us.
Okay.
So we are, in that respect, we're on the candidate side. But you've got to remember, we have 2 clients. One is the candidate, one is the client. If the client says, no, you're way too much, and we lose that candidate the job, that candidate's going to be annoyed with us. So we need to make sure we understand the ballpark.
Your thing is about fairness, isn't it? And
absolutely.
It is about understanding worth and understanding the market and finding the balance.
Yeah.
So, and as a candidate, that's what we have to do as well when we are, discussing money. It's very difficult. And I've been looking at this. I've read lots of different articles about this. When you navigate the sort of financial aspects of a job, the questions you ask, when you ask them, signal maturity, sort of professional maturity.
Yes.
Right? So that's a good thing to keep in mind, because you need to have that attitude. It's a good thing in the workplace.
Yeah.
Senior level candidates view compensation as, from what I understand, it's a 2-way business agreement. It's not an awkward negotiation.
No.
It's an agreement, and that's the way you need to look at it. And there is push and there is pull as well.
And there often is compromise on both sides.
Sure.
So we've had a candidate recently. So when we go into the process of talking to a candidate about a job, one of the first things we ask after we've been through their CV is, what are you currently paid? It's amazing how many candidates won't tell us, because they think that if they tell us they're on 30K and the job's paying 40, they're only going to get 32.
Okay. But why would you hide that from the recruitment person who's actively...
Exactly, because there's a trust value in that. And
Really?
then this is where candidates have to understand that the more transparent you are with us, the better we can negotiate on your behalf. And the reason why most candidates won't tell us is because they're on artificially low salary. And if they don't tell us, one of our things is we will not put them forward to a job. Because when we work with clients are very transparent about what their salary parameters are, and we have to negotiate on their behalf. If a candidate says, I'm not going to tell you, we cannot put them forward for a job not knowing what they're currently paid.
Or you could put them forward and just lowball it.
Yeah, but that's
you can't do that, obviously, but
my job is...
It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, but your point is we're about fairness. We want to
Yeah.
make sure the candidate has the best job in the world and the client has the best candidate. And we must negotiate between those two to get the best package for the candidate and for the client.
Right.
Both must come out of it happy. And that's the key thing for us.
So, when it comes down to you're about to have an interview, and at some point you're going to discuss money in an interview.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this kind of dispassionately. It's about three things, and I wonder. This comes from, I've kind of put together a load of different articles, lots of different opinions, but generally this seems to come out. So it's about timing,
Yep.
research, and framing. Okay, does that seem reasonable?
Yep.
Okay,
Very logical.
Research your market value, politely deflect early salary questions until you have leverage.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well, don't admit anything until you've got the upper hand, I suppose, in the interview, or you feel as though you have the upper hand in the interview.
I'm much more open about this, and I think
I had a feeling you would be. But seriously, all of these articles that I read, it was very much about, you're in this situation, which is
power
it's
play.
a discussion. There's an element of power play in every interview, of course there is. Okay, so those were things. To negotiate a competitive compensation package once an offer is made is something, that's the backwards and forwards. And frame the discussion around the value, that you bring, rather than what you're looking for, the needs that you might have.
Nailed
your
it.
personal
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You've got to look at the intangible of you're joining this company.
Right.
You have to convince you as the client that you're going to add value, whatever it be in a sales term, as an HR term, to that company. So that company is a better place and gets more value out of you than candidate B.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've then got to put a value on what that increase to their company will be.
Okay.
So going back to your point about the competitive nature of negotiation, and that's where we're sort of going on this.
It
is that it should never be an awkward conversation, because if you've done what you've said, and I think the thing about research is very, very key to this. What is your value in the marketplace? What does this job role pay? If you're working with a recruiter, ask them what the salary range is. And if they say, well, it's X to X, well, I'm currently on 50, I'm looking for 60. Is that within their remit? And the recruiter will go yes or no. If they go no, you're above the salary range, you have to decide whether you still want to go for that job. Don't go for that job if you are still going to go in there and at the last minute try and say, I'll only move for 60.
Yeah,
you will lose a recruiter over that.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I get that. So let's talk about...
Tim, you say that. It's happening all the time at the moment.
Is it really?
Because people are... There's a certain desperation to people now to try and get the maximum return on jobs because the market's more expensive. So people are sometimes not being totally honest with us. And 9 times out of 10, if they're not, they will not get the offer.
So people take a very short-term approach, don't they?
Super short. Oh, we had one the other day. I mean, I think I told you about it. We had a really senior guy. Yeah. We got him the right package, the right role. And at the end, he went, I just don't think this is the right job for me. He'd had 6 interviews. Never once had told us he was feeling unsure. He'd met everyone in the company, and it created a bad feeling for the company for that candidate.
Right.
It left us with a bad impression of him, and he's been a candidate of ours for 10 or 15 years. And the client questioned our process.
What do you think it was?
I don't think he ever wanted to go for the job in the first place.
Really?
I think he was just testing the market. Fine, if you can do that, tell us. We can put backups in there then.
That's that's such a waste of time.
Honestly, it's frustrating. It really annoys me. I much prefer the candidates say all the way through, look, I'm still a bit 50-50 on this, David. I go, do you want me to carry on the process? Yes, I do. I will tell the client he's still a bit unsure. Then there's a 2-way communication. And if we know what the problem is, we can tell the client may be able to fix that problem.
And also, if it doesn't go to plan, there's no ill feeling, or far less ill feeling.
And let's face it, you don't want to have ill feeling with a client or a recruiter.
No, that doesn't seem sensible.
No. Bear in mind, they're the conduit to your new jobs.
Well, exactly. Yeah, and I see it as a long-term game.
Yes.
If you're going to spend 40, 45 years working, building a career, however long it is, I know.
So depressing.
No, that brings it home. you might as well. I just think make it as easy as possible, but that's me. So let's talk about timing. I'll make a statement, okay, and see if you agree. It's best to hold off on discussing money until the employer expresses clear interest or extends an offer.
In theory, yes. In practice, it doesn't happen like that.
Right.
Because what happens typically in the first interview, giving a recent example, I've got a very good client who's a shipping company. Their group HR director is a lovely lady. I won't mention her name because she's probably listening. But what she does, her first interview is a culture meeting. So she talks about, what do you like working in? What have you done? Have you done it? And by the way, the last question she always asks, what package are you currently on? By the way, we've already found that information. We've sent it to her. And it's her way of seeing whether the candidate is going to ask for more than we've told.
Okay.
Which is not a great way of doing it.
No.
But what it does, it frames whether that candidate is the right one for the role they're putting together.
So that gives you a real idea of fit.
Now, what they don't do then is they don't negotiate salary. She goes, tell me about your package. I'm on this, I get school fees, I go whatever. Mm-hmm. She goes, okay, thank you. There's no negotiation. Then we know what that candidate is, or she knows, and she goes, right person, right culture fit, right package, done. Next interview stage.
Okay, so let's say not everybody takes that approach, but somebody in a first sort of screening interview asks you, what do you do? Do you turn the conversation around and, say that you're really, I'm going to be really enthusiastic about the role and my expectations will probably align, but you don't do that?
No.
Don't. Okay.
So your first statement is technically correct. So what happens is, if you're not using a recruiter, you will go through the process and you'll get to the end, and your last meeting will be with your line manager or the HR person.
Okay.
Well, they will go, let me reconfirm what you're earning and what are you looking for? And then they will go, this is our offer. This is the start of the negotiation.
Right.
Unless they give you an amazing offer, don't be greedy. Say, look, and then when anyone offers you a package, say, look, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this process. Would you mind if I take a bit of time to think about this? Always be grateful. Even if it's dramatically lower than you think, you need to be humble and thankful for the process, because they will remember that. That's the art of negotiation. You might come off the phone and go, that was rubbish. But then don't ever do anything emotionally charged. Because if you've been given, say you're on 50 and they've come back and said, look, we got a great offer, it's 51. Part of you goes, what? I've just wasted 3 interviews. So you're automatically angry or upset or emotional. And if you then start to negotiate, you're negotiating from a very bad point.
What if you take the view that, 51, you're deflated. Is it okay to be deflated by that? Do you think that?
Yeah, I wouldn't use those terms. I would just say, look, in all honesty, I was expecting more, but would you mind if I just reflect on this and the process and come back to you?
Because that seems to me a lowball approach. If somebody comes back and,
By the way, everyone is lowballing at the moment.
I bet they are, yeah.
Because the perception is there's so much talent in the marketplace that you can offer lower salaries.
Right.
We push back on this all the time, constantly. And I've just negotiated a salary for one of my best mates, and I got her a really good increase, but she was going to accept one about 5 to 6K less because she thought that was good.
Really?
I just said to her, go back, and I did all these stages, and she got a much better. She's super happy.
I bet.
That's why she's friends with me.
Yeah, well, there you are. That's why we invite you back.
Exactly.
When an interview asks for salary expectations, what do you do when it's a very direct? What are you looking for? Should you take like a researched range and try and tie that to the value, the value that you're offering? Is that how do you do it?
It's a very difficult one. This is the most difficult part of it, because you have to put a figure that you're happy with and you think the client seems acceptable. most people get this wrong because they don't do what you said is the research. They don't do the thought process. Example, if you're on 40,
Yeah.
people would expect now in this market, but probably around 50, 55 if you're lucky. Clients expect 45 to 48. Just as I'm doing very generalist in view here.
Yeah.
So whatever you say to the client may not go for it. But do not lowball yourself. But don't put yourself in SpaceX territory where you've given yourself a huge amount, because the client will clam up, and that'll be it. So what you have to say is, look, I'm currently on this. My expectation is I'm on 50. My current expectation is around 60. And these are the reasons why I think this is it. I've done my research in the marketplace and I believe this role. Then stop talking.
Yeah, well, I want to come to that actually, because the talking too much is another side of this, isn't it? All right then. So everything about this is knowing your worth and understanding people in your industry, what they earn, what they do, their years of experience. You've got to be able to benchmark yourself, haven't you?
Yes.
That's the key before you go in. Okay, so that's very clear. If somebody says to you, what are your salary expectations? Could you say something like, let me read you and make another statement. I've got loads of things here I want to just judge by your
Look
reaction.
at him, he's been researching a week for this.
I know, I've really sat and thought about this because I think this is
Are you about to go through a round of
difficult.
negotiating your salary? Is that why I'm on?
Don't I wish? Not right now, let me tell you. Based on my research of market rates and my specific experience with my role, I'm targeting a base salary in the range of X to Y, whatever that range is. However, I'm flexible. I'm open to discussing the full compensation package once we discuss the exact responsibilities of the role. So I'm kind of being open, but kind of kicking it back and not making a commitment. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, that's a very reasonable thing to say. Just be careful about, you almost need to know your worth before you go into a meeting, because you need to set a ballpark of where you think, and it can't be, I'm currently on 40, I'm looking anywhere between 50 and 70. That's a ridiculous range.
Yeah, that seems a bit.
So you say, I'm on 40, I'm looking around the 50s, but to be honest with you, the package is one thing. What we've discussed about the job, you flip this now. What we've discussed about is the bit I'm really interested in, because I really see this job doing X, 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 and I really think with my experience, I can add huge amounts of value. Right. You've then flipped the conversation into positives. Right. You've moved away from the confrontation and you're into the positives about what you like about the company, the job, and the client's going, awesome, I like this person.
Yeah, okay. No, I get that.
Everything must be, you must make the person at the other end come out feeling that by employing you, they're going to significantly increase the worth of their business in whichever format.
So when a company makes an offer, assuming that you've done all of those things and the positives are there, acceptance is the thing. You should always take some time to review it. Yep. I guess never kind of say, yeah, right, I'm in, and should we just don't accept the first number on the spot. Is that good advice, or you may always take time?
Yeah, you may end up accepting the first offer, but the reality is don't know when to accept and know when to push back. So whatever happens, when anybody gives, if somebody comes to me and says, and I'm on 40K, they're going to offer me 60 or 70, I'm going to go, look, I've really enjoyed this process. I'd like to reflect on the package. I think that looks really exciting. Mm-hmm. Let me come back to you in a day or two. Would that be okay?
Okay.
I want to talk to my partner. I want to talk to people that advise me, all those things.
I want to run around outside
and then
with a hat on.
Before make sure you hang up before you go, woohoo!
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's okay. So
that's champagne cork pops.
So you need to. I mean, it is very much about keeping up a professional air, isn't it? Even if you've been lowballed or highballed, or it sounds great or it doesn't sound great. What do you say if an offer is too low? How do you?
We've had this recently, actually. So a client said, I'd like to talk to the candidate direct. And I said, okay, no issues. What are you going to offer? And she gave me the package. And I went, you can't do that.
Really?
And she said, why? I said, because it's too low. They're going to turn it down. I've told you what they'll accept.
Yeah.
And she goes, I want to do it anyway. I said, fine, you're cool. Did it. Candidate turned it down. And the reality is,
Right.
the client was lucky because she came out and said, look, you were right, I got that wrong. What does it need to take this person? I said, well, you've just given them a low ball, so you're automatically thinking negatively about you now.
Yeah.
As a client, be careful of doing this, because example, I know we keep talking figures. If you've got someone on 40 and you're willing to offer them 50, don't go in and say, well, I'm going to offer 45, but I'll go to 50. Because as soon as you do that to somebody, they're going to go, they know I want 50. It's not unreasonable. Why are they offering me 45? It's a no. You've just created a negative feeling between you and the company.
Yeah, I mean, why did this person, do you think, want to talk to this person directly and lowball them? What was the motivation there?
I think the problem is what happens when you get the sign-off from a finance person, which typically might be a finance person.
Okay.
They've gone, yeah, we can go to 50, but try and get them at 48, would you?
Okay.
Again, it's a false economy.
Right.
What you want is people joining your organization knowing the process has been great, that you feel super valued coming into the business. So if you're never going to offer them 50, offer them 48. Don't go, I'm going to offer them 48, and then if they reject it, I'll take them to 50. So it's just not worth doing, because you're saving yourself $2,000, but you're creating immediately in that person's head, they're trying to lowball me.
Yeah.
It's a negative perception of a company. So we've got one. Keep talking to you about Altair. They're really good about how they negotiate. They tell us exactly what the package is. We tell the candidate exactly what the package is. And when it comes to an offer, the client offers exactly what they're going to say. And so there's the candidate always goes, yep, I'm going to take it. We never have turn downs there, because it's really clear. They're very open about how they do things.
Okay. If an offer's too low, let me just put another statement to you here. I'm using you as like the sounding board today, but there's so much to offer.
Well, technically, I am the guru of recruitment.
The guru?
Or GNU.
You're the metal guru, are you not? Thank you so much for the offer. I'm very excited about the opportunity. This is if it's too low.
Too low, yeah.
Given my experience and the value that I can bring to this specific project role, whatever, I was hoping we could get closer to a higher number, whatever that number is in the range, be specific. Is there any room to adjust the base salary? Is that a reasonable way to do it? Would you react to that?
Very nice way of doing it. I think it's,
so?
it's to the point, because you're not saying you're turning it down, but you're not saying you're accepting.
I thought that was quite a positive way to
Very
approach
good.
it.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
That's a nice way to do it.
All right then. So if you're asked about salary expectations, you shouldn't say, I'm on 100 and a 10% increase would be great. You shouldn't.
No.
You should never do that.
Would be great. Would be great.
I know. Would be is
it's not going to happen.
Conditional on it's never going to be a thing.
No.
Right.
So the other bit about salary negotiation, in this current market, clients are having to tighten their belts for obvious reasons due to the economy, etc. That will change. So if a client says, "Look, you're on 40, the most we can go to is 45," and I want to tell you that really up front.
Right.
But what we can do, we can put KPIs, key performance indicators, i.e. bench sort of goals, for you over the next 6 months. If you achieve those things, we'll put you to 50 in December.
Okay.
That's a client being very open, but giving you an incentive. If you achieve what we would term as realistic KPIs, you will go to the 50 you want.
All right then. Because if you say a number that's too low, you're always going to be low.
Nobody ever says a number too low. I will tell you that in the 30 years I've been in recruitment. Nobody says too low.
Really?
Never happens.
Right.
It's like somebody asks you how tall you are, Tim. If you're 5'10", you'll say 5'11". Because you're a bloke.
See, the thing is, I need to grow up. I'm too truthful. I'm an innocent, I think. If you say a number too high and you try and highball all the time, you kind of disqualify yourself. You're too expensive, aren't you? Right.
Yeah,
okay.
and believe me, in this market, if you go, you're way too high. So you're on 40, and how much you're looking for? 60. The client's going to go, A, is not realistic. There's no negotiation there. There's no backing for why he thinks it's worth 60. And there are other candidates that we can get at 50.
Sure. How entitled is that guy? Girl.
Oh, there's a lot.
That's a whole different topic, isn't
yeah.
it? All right. You're asked for a salary expectation. Thanks for the question. Can you share the approved salary range for the role? Is that a way to approach it? Is that a different way to approach it? Or
but
is that digging?
no, it's digging a bit because
Is it?
what you're saying to that client is, you've told me one thing, but how far can this salary go up?
Okay.
Because I want to push a bit harder.
What if they don't have a range? They're not willing to share a range. I mean, my guess is some people would share a range. It really, I mean, this is hypothetical.
Most clients won't, by the way.
Most clients really wouldn't.
No,
Okay,
no.
so they
And they
don't
will
have a
to
range.
us because we're considered to be the arbitrators between the candidate and the client.
Right.
But if you're going for an interview and you ask a client, what's your range? I guarantee what they will most say, we'll pay whatever it takes to get the right person. That's the stock answer.
That's a great answer.
It is a great answer.
It is, yeah.
And the candidate automatically goes, right, I was asking for 50, now I'm going to ask for 55.
Right, okay.
And then what happens with most turndowns is candidates' expectations are way too high of what their ability is.
Okay. So there's no range. Can you then say, look, I'm flexible. What are you currently paying people in this role? Is that a way to do it?
So you give a really good one there. I'm trying to get my words out.
Here we go.
I got really excited then because you brought something out
you
I
did.
hadn't thought about. A really good thing is when you're going through the interview process, typically what you say is this a new role or is this a replacement? And they go, it's a replacement. What happened to the old person? Oh, they got a new job elsewhere.
Okay.
Where have they gone? Oh, they've gone to X company. What was that salary level when they left? Are you paying above or below that? It's a cocky question.
It's good though.
But it's a good one.
I like
And
that.
if they go, well, we can't tell you that, fair enough.
Okay. If you get a rough idea of what people are paying, or you have a range, and you're not quite at the
Top end. You should
top
never
end.
be at the top end, by the way.
Well, that's the thing. Can you say something like, or should you say something like, okay, what kind of experience would I need, or what would I kind of have to do to earn the top end? Don't do that.
No. Because, certainly the levels I'll deal at, all the people I'm dealing at are experienced people. You wouldn't ask that question because it's sort of a non-question. It doesn't mean anything. It's like saying, if I had wings, I could fly. You don't have wings at the moment, so you can't fly. So it's a non-question.
Okay.
Does that analogy work?
No, that does work. Yeah. There's so many things I wanted to ask you, and I feel like I'm learning again today as well.
I feel like I'm
You are the guru.
imparting
You're
good advice to you.
imparting
hopefully.
knowledge, proper good. But how much can you, if somebody really pushes for a number,
Yeah.
or a recruiter really pushes you for a number, and you really need that transparency,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason your candidate won't give that, and there may be a reason for that. How would I deal with that? Because if I'm shy for whatever reason.
Well, if you're shy, then you use people like us to take away that element of shyness because we're the ones that are quite happy to front up to a client and have a discussion. Because remember, we have a good relationship with the client. We can have a much more honest discussion with the client. So if you don't feel confident telling your recruiter, you are making them go into a knife fight with a one hand tied behind their back. It's not a fair fight.
Yeah.
You've got to give us every tool in your armory or every weapon in your army to help us get you the best amount of money. But you must take our advice. You must be realistic. We don't lowball candidates. Not our job. Our job is to get you the best offer possible that you and the client will accept. If you think you're worth 60 and the client thinks you're only worth 55, you can keep pushing for 60, but the client will go, no. And if they keep saying no, they're never going to say yes. So you've lost that job. You've got it. It's a fine line, this. And you have to read how clients are. And that whole point, and I think you said it before, about research, about preparation, the negotiation bit is the most difficult part of the whole interview process.
It is, and the research and knowing your worth is the starting point. And
It's absolute paramount.
I think a lot of people we get used to our roles and think that we'll just fit into the next one without really understanding how things have changed when you've been in that position for 5 years, 10 years. However long.
The worst thing anyone says to me, I say, why are you expecting 60? Because I'm worth that. And I go, what have you based that on? Well, I just know I'm good and I'm worth that. is that based on the amount of money you need to earn to live, or is it based on your best friends in a similar role earning that?
Yeah.
Well, a bit of both. Well, that's not what the client's going to be interested in. The client's going to be saying, if I pay this person 60K, are they going to multiply that business by 10 times or 5 times? Are they worth hiring? You might actually make a client pay you more because during the interview process, they've uncovered a bit that they didn't realize that you're really good at. And that could be massive value to the company.
Yeah. It's not all roles are created equal, are they? It's not great to say...
The famous George Orwell expression, everyone's equal, but some are more equal than others.
Well, exactly. So my friends in marketing, they're earning this, I should be earning that, and the skills may be completely different. So it's also being realistic about your value, isn't it, I guess, first of all. So let's sum up how to approach salary expectations with confidence. Do your research, know the market range, in that industry, in that company, whatever it is, be informed, don't be vague either.
Yes.
That's the starting point, right?
Be confident.
Be confident in your abilities. When you're asked about expectations, connect your compensations to the outcomes that you drive or the scope that you handle. It's not, and I think basically what you were saying earlier was it's not just about the role, it's about the impact you can have in the role.
That's exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
They're not hiring a like-for-like person. The reason they're hiring you is either the person's no good and they've got rid of them,
Right.
or the person's been headhunted by somebody else. They want to replace that person, but they always want better.
Right. There's nothing wrong with saying, this is kind of point 3 really, based on my research and experience, I'm targeting a range of X to Y. Is that in line with your budget? Is that a fair statement for me to make?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Position yourself. This is interesting. I wondered what you were going to. I've been wondering what you're going to think about this. Position yourself for the role, not your path. Your current salary doesn't define your future value.
Yes.
Okay. Frame your expectations around the responsibilities and impact the new role requires, not just what you were paid, before.
Yeah. Because in reality, people don't move jobs to do the same job. You move job to move up, to get better, to be more challenged.
Yeah.
And with that comes an increased level of responsibility, whether it be financial or managerial, whatever. And then you are deemed to be paid more because you're more senior. And your goals then are aligned to the company. And somehow you've got to get your financial compensation aligned to the company, not just the bonus, but how you're going to move up to the next level beyond this. One of my questions I always say to candidates, if a company says to you, why are you interested in this role? He said, I'm interested in this role, but I'm not just interested in this one. I'm interested in the one above this because I see real scope in this role to move into a different area. You're already seeing you want to stay with that company, you want to grow. Your natural value goes up.
That's a good way to put it. But don't do what I do and say when somebody says, so why do you want to do this? Well, I don't really. I was more interested in that department. I did that once. I remember thinking, did I just say that out loud? It was real.
I had a really interesting, I got interviewed about 10 years ago for a chief exec's job in UK. I was thinking of going back to UK and my business was going to run itself. That was a disaster. And we went through the whole process, and I really liked the person interviewing me, the chief exec who was leaving, was fantastic, motivated, driven, and I loved the opportunity. And at the very last interview, I was having a coffee with him in London. I said, "Why are you leaving?" And he said, "Probably don't want to tell you that." And I'm like, immediately red flags.
Yeah.
And he said, "It's because of the board of directors. I don't like them. We never get anything signed off, and I feel like I'm not empowered." And I'd met the board of directors, and I liked them individually, but I was concerned about them as a collective.
Right.
He made me turn that job down.
Ooh. Okay. And you would have been working pretty closely with the board of directors, I'm guessing.
I reported directly into them.
Right. Okay.
But and you know what I did? Yeah. I then had my final meeting again. Once I'd had a chat with him, was with the board of directors, and I told them why I was turning it down.
What did they say?
They were really good. They actually said, "Yeah, this is an issue we have, and it's not just him; it's us as well. We are not agreeing on the future of the company. That's why we need you here, because you're a stronger character than the person that's leaving."
And did that make you feel good?
Made me feel amazing.
Yeah, I bet it did. But you still didn't take the job.
No, because
The cabbage wasn't enough.
no, but also things had changed here, and then the person I'd come in to be my MD had failed, so I had to come back here. So yeah, was it a sliding door moment? I'm not sure. I'm super happy doing what I do now, so I would have missed this sitting with you and Faraji.
Yeah. Well, there's always a bright side.
Not sure what that is, but
I'm not sure. I'll just leave that hanging.
Faraji is just not involved in this at all.
I don't blame him. I was trying to sum up, actually. So,
Sorry, yes.
ask about the budget in a respectful way. That's obviously an important thing to do. There's something else that I wanted to just put out there. Make it a two-way conversation. You're not just asking for a number. This is a discussion. You're looking at different things. It is. I mean, as much as it's about getting what you're worth and the right package, the right salary, money, you're also looking at fit and value and mutual expectations, and that's what a professional, mature conversation is about. And it needs to be that, doesn't it?
It used to be a dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. That's important. The other thing, after you've stated your sort of requested amount or terms, stop. Don't go on about it. Because there's this thing of, you're asking for a little bit more and you then start to over-justify.
Yes.
I know, and that's something I wanted to come back to because I think that's important. Don't over-explain or justify. Just let it sit there and you're trying to elicit a response.
Human nature.
Yeah. It's hard to do.
I got dumped by a girl once, and I tried to sell her into why she should keep me.
What?
I just kept talking, and I remember going, "Why are you still talking, David?" Because I really liked her. I wanted to convince her to stay with me.
And it didn't.
No, it didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm really good at negotiation, though, so I don't know why I messed that one up. Luckily, because I met my wife. So, but on a more serious note, and I ought to be serious on this, it's a really good point. Is know when to stop talking.
Yes.
And if you deliver something like, "Well, this is what I'm expecting. This is how I'd like it to be structured. What are your thoughts?" And if the person opposite you doesn't say anything, just wait. And if they keep doing the power play, just go, "Sorry, do you want me to go through that again, or is there any areas you want to ask me about that?"
Yeah, and that goes back to your confidence.
Exactly.
Going in with knowing what you're trying to get, knowing who you are, knowing what you offer and everything else. But that's really hard to do. Because I do that a lot. I'll be in a social situation and then I'll just end up and I'll think, I've just spent 5 minutes talking nonsense, just words filling the air because I didn't know what to say.
Yeah, but that's normal. That's normal.
I'm not sure.
I think it's normal. Well, what you say is probably not, but it's normal human behaviour because people like interaction. I think I've sat on the side of a client the other day that was trying to negotiate with me, and I'm a very open negotiator. I'm very clear about what we'd accept, what we deal with, what fees, and how we want to work. And I said, "Look, this is the fee rate we'll work out because we haven't worked with you. I need to prove you I'm good enough, so I'll do that rate." And he went and just stared at me.
Oh, really?
And I said, "Do you want me to say something else, or is that not acceptable?" And he's carried on looking at me. And I said, "I don't mean to be rude, but is this a negotiation stance, or are you just not talking?" And the client went, "No, I just I'm thinking about it." I said, "Okay." So he sat there for another 10 minutes, and I went, "Look, I think the relationship we have with our clients is a two-way thing. I feel now." Either we're just not discussing this, or you're not sure what to say to me. So
that's awkward.
Yeah. So I said, why don't I leave the meeting and then we can come back and maybe reconvene? And he sent me an email saying, "Further to your fee percentage, I'd like to take 5% off." And I went, "Why?" And he went, "Because I think that's what the value of this of what we're doing is this." And I said, "That's great. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it, but we're not going to be working with you."
Wow. Okay.
It was a power play, and it was a ridiculous power play. I've not had it for a long time in my industry. Most of my clients they're really good people. When you talk to them about an offer, so there's one of my Kirsty's, one of my really good clients. I've known her for years. She's a fantastic negotiator, but she's a kind negotiator. And let me say what that means. When she's negotiating to accept a candidate, she goes, "David, what will this person accept and be happy with? And what would they accept?" And they come begrudgingly. And I'll tell her the two figures. She goes, "Right, give them the one they're going to accept and be happy with, because I want this person to come in being positive." She could get them for lower, but she realizes that 2 or 3 grand, the value on bringing something in where people are happy about, means that they're coming to the business positive, not, I was lowballed on this, which will always stick in the back of people's heads.
Not that many people like that really see the value.
I tell you
They
what,
know the price, but they don't
look at her team. You can tell they're all really good. They love working there. She has very low attrition of staff.
Right.
She treats people properly. She's a very good HR director.
Sounds to me like this person who negotiated in that awkward fashion learned that on some crazy business course or something. That just sounds like a tactic that...
It was a certain type of person, and I deal with them regularly, and they're a procurement person. They have very little personality in terms of being able to have a conversation about it. By the way,
transactional.
Yeah, most procurement. Yeah, that's a much better way of putting it. Procurement people typically are gatekeepers, and they are rising to the fore now in terms of negotiating contracts. So when you meet a really good one, and there's some really good ones out there, it's a really nice interaction because they're going, "No, Dave," and you go, "No," and it comes out. You're both happy, but then you get ones that just want to screw you over, and in the end, we just don't work with those people.
I've had that recently with a procurement person who asked me, I went backwards and forwards. There were, 5 different negotiations. And in the end, I just said, I can't do this anymore. It's just too hard now. And then she said, well, we're going to sign the contract. I was like, oh, great.
But a lot of people lose contracts. Procurement people are ruining some of these contracts because they're lowballing people so much that they have to accept it, and they just get a substandard level of work.
Well, this is a problem, isn't it? And it's also, it wastes so much time. You end up not getting on with the job.
Yeah.
It's been interesting, this, I think. David Mackenzie is I've got a new one for you. He's the Alpha Bigwig at Mackenzie Jones. Not bad. Better than the Belgian Malinois. But, there you go. The horse one still wins. If you're enjoying today's discussion, make sure to share it. Leave a comment. This is Mirror Business FM.